Welcome to the WanderLearn-Podcast. I'm your host, France Tapon. I'm here with Teouta Luri. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Teouta, you are from Kosovo.
Yes, I am.
At first glance, you don't look like a stereotypical Kosovar because you're blonde, blue-eyed. That probably throws a lot of people off.
Yes, it does. People think that I'm from Scandinavia, like Sweden, or was told that I'm Slovenian, but I don't look anything like Albanian.
And yet you were born in Kosovo.
Yes, I was born in Pristina, and I lived in Ferizaj.
Which is the capital.
Yes, which is capital of Kosovo.
Mm-hmm. What were some like your earliest memories? Because you were there during the time of Yugoslavia when you were born and a little child.
Yes,
girl.
I was born. Yeah, I lived through.
Who was Tito was the president at that time?
Tito, yes.
He lived until 1980?
Yes,
right.
1980. He died. Well, 1980.
Do you remember his death?
Yes,
okay.
yes. I was 6 years old.
Okay, and then what? How was that? That was like a huge event.
Yes, for the whole Yugoslavia, it was a big. We mourned for days and days, and it was a big loss.
What I find fascinating about Tito is that he's one of the only dictators in the world that is beloved by almost everybody.
Yugoslavia was a multi-ethnicity. We lived so many different nationalities, and still he kept them united.
Right.
So that's
amazing.
That's the history. That's why everyone, finds it very interesting how he managed it and how he did it.
And not just united, but also he kept the economy running. He got socialism to basically work during his time period. He learned how to beg from the Soviets and beg from the Americans.
Yes. But the Soviet, he didn't have a very good relationship with Stalin, but apparently he did with the rest of the world. So he was very well known for the trio, like it was Tito, Nasser, and Nehru.
Right.
So they are, and then with the Gandhi
non-aligned
as well.
movement.
Correct, yeah. And then he had a very good relationship with Kennedy at the time.
There was my favorite line of Tito writing a letter to Stalin, to Joseph Stalin, and telling him, "I'm tired of you sending assassins to kill me. Stop doing that." I'm paraphrasing, by the way, I'm not quoting directly. He said, "Stop doing that, because if you continue doing that, I will send one to assassinate you, and I will only send one because I will not need to send another."
That is.
I don't know if you remember that line.
Yeah, no. I mean, I'm surprised. Yeah,
I love it.
You know so much about Europe, and then this is interesting how you know about Tito as well. So
yeah. He's such a fascinating character. It's just an amazing person that he was to rule that long. Because usually when you rule that long, eventually people get tired of you, and they're just like, get out of here. Even American presidents, no matter how much they love them, after 8 years, they're like, okay, we're done with you. Get out. After just 8 years. And Tito was there for almost 40 yeyears, or 38, 40 years, something like that. Anyway. Okay, so then let's fast forward to the late 1990s, when all of a sudden Yugoslavia had started to break apart. And all the Yugoslav wars tore apart, the Bosnian War tore apart Bosnia. And then all of a sudden, everybody was looking at Kosovo. Inevitably, in 1999, the war broke out in Kosovo. And your father was a politician, right?
Yes, my father. Yeah, my father was
Luri
a politician.
He was Mr. Luri?
Yes. So he worked.
What was his first name?
He was Danosh.
Okay.
And then, but he worked during the Yugoslavia time, and then, he was retired.
Okay.
So when Slovenians
started it and their 10-day war,
No, when the Slovenians, they walked out of the parliament, that's that's when everything set apart, and then.
But he was retired at that point. He was retired
yes,
at that point.
Yes, he retired. Yes.
Okay. So what was his role? What was the highest post he got in government before, right at the age of retirement or whatever?
So that was he presented Kosovo
to Yugoslavia's parliament.
Yes,
okay,
correct.
Okay. So he was the dude. I mean, or did they have many representatives?
They had few of them,
like 4 or 5 or whatever.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
so he was
correct.
one of the
people
representing, and maybe he represented Pristina.
He was
the district.
Yes, it was not the Pristina. It was
autonomous territory.
Yes.
Right.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, because Kosovo and Vojvodina
was autonomous, just like Vojvodina, which is up in the north.
It's still
of Serbia. So Serbia had 2 autonomous units. Tito did that to compromise to make because the people...
To keep the tensions down.
Yeah, it was just kind of, well, if he gave autonomy, if he made a republic out of Kosovo, the Serbs would have been angry. But if he didn't make it autonomous, then the Kosovars, the Albanians, would be angry. So it's like the solution was...
That's why we wanted, as Albanians, we wanted to be a republic because we deserved that, and we were a majority. And then that was the disagreement that we had, because we were not same as Vojvodina. We were pretty much...
Well, you were the same as Vojvodina.
Yes, but we considered ourselves, and we wanted to be a republic.
Right.
So that's why we had riots in 1980s. Yeah,
I mean, a better example...
That's when they started.
The better example is that Slovenia, which was a republic, had a population that I believe was lower than the population of Kosovo. And yet Slovenia was a republic, and Kosovo, which had a larger population, was not.
Yes.
So, I mean, that was one bone of contention. And there's many others. I mean, it's a long history. When the fighting started between the Serbs and the Kosovars, who were, at that point, 85% Albanian, ethnic Albanian. Like, what were you doing during that whole wartime period?
The tensions started years before.
Sure.
So then we lived in curfew. Albanians were getting killed every day. And
you were a teenager at this time?
Yes, but then in the biggest one in 1999 when it started, I was like 23, 24. So before that, I was a teenager. We had a curfew. We couldn't go. We were kicked out of the schools. We lost as Albanian. Every Albanian lost their jobs, and then they did typically destroyed us as a nation. We had no jobs, and then school-wise, education-wise, they destroyed us because they didn't let us to go to school, because by Geneva Convention we have rights to get educated in native language. And then Milosovic, the dictator, the bad dictator, when he came in power, he didn't let us go to school and get educated in our native language, in Albanian.
Now, hold on. So during Tito's time, did he let Albanian language schools exist?
Yes.
So it was Slobodan Milosovic who was the one who outlawed the Albanian schooling system.
Yes.
And said, no, you have to learn things in Serbo-Croatian.
Correct. Because during Tito's time, we went, because we had other ethnicities always. So we had Serbians, Croatians that we lived. So Serbo-Croatian, they went to school on their native language. Then we have Roman or Gypsies. They had their own education on their own language. We had Turkish as well. Okay. So everybody.
So they had Turkish schools?
Correct.
Really?
Yeah. You go to elementary school.
So Milosevic got rid of the Roma schools, the Turkish schools, and the Albanian schools.
Yeah, the Albanian schools, they were like the most that attacked, and then
because they were the majority.
And then we didn't go to school. We didn't have. So then we kind of, as Albanians, we united, and then we went like from house to house with our professor. So then we will learn.
What did your dad think of the Serbs?
So there was no such a sympathy, because they did so much wrong, as on a discrimination. And seeing how we sink as a youth, not being able to live a normal life, someone that we already start having dreams, and then, to 10 years old or 12 years old, how do you explain that, I don't work because I'm Albanian? Out of a sudden, all the dreams has shattered, because we couldn't get educated, and he couldn't help. Nobody could do anything about it, and that was devastating.
But I imagine your father had Serbian friends.
We grew up together. Yes, we grew up together, and then the people that he was surrounded, they knew that it was wrong, but Milosevic, it was his politics and his supporters. So there's Serbians that they knew that it was wrong, what was done to us, because we grew up in the same place. They knew, out of a sudden, I used to go in a kindergarten with the same and grew up with the same Serbian girl. And then we, in a playground, she didn't understand, I didn't understand why she gets to play in a playground, but not me. Out of a sudden, I became Albanian. I'm something different.
Even though you spoke Serbo-Croatian?
Yes.
Because you were educated, and most educated Albanians spoke Serbo-Croatian too, correct? They spoke Serbian.
Yes. I mean, even every majority...
So even the uneducated spoke?
Yes, bilingual.
Yeah,
yes. Even in a village, because the Serbians or Serbo-Croatians, they were all over, like you have. So even in a village...
I mean, they were 15% of the population. I mean, they were a minority. And yet you guys were learning the language of the minority.
But Serbo-Croatian was an official language of Yugoslavia.
I understand that.
Yes,
but
we always correct.
We sometimes it doesn't penetrate to the village's level. Sometimes in certain situations, but in this case, it did.
It did. Yeah, in our case, people that we had people in the village that they didn't even know Albanians, that they didn't even know, or they will just know how to write their name. But they, they were bilingual.
Well, what a lot of people who really, I mean, most Americans don't really follow the whole Yugoslav wars, but the war in Bosnia killed around 200,000 people. And the war in Kosovo killed only about 2,000 people. I'm not exactly precise on those numbers, but I'm pretty sure about roughly that. And I think it's because the international community, especially the United States and NATO, reacted so much. They did not want another Bosnia to happen in Kosovo. But still, a couple of thousand people died. Did people that you know die in Kosovo? And did you have to deal with the sound of bombs falling and gunshots during the night? Or was it not as bad? Because you were living in Pristina, the capital.
But I also lived in Jakova. That's where I lived during that time. And
why did you not live in Pristina? Was it safer in Jakova?
No, this is where I was married, and this is where I lived.
So you got married in the middle of the war?
Correct.
What a romantic thing to do.
Yes, that was we needed a reason to wake up in the morning, and guess what? I had my son as well. So,
so explain that. You got married in what year?
1996.
So the war had already kind of
it already started.
Right. And then you said, "Hey, that's the middle of the war. Let's have a baby, for God's sakes."
Yes, hey, in so many times in life. We have to do what we have to do. So
you have to have a baby during the war.
We have to, yes. So that's why I stopped with one.
Yeah.
I was like,
that's enough.
If I pass through these times, I will never have another one. So,
exactly.
But it was a blessing. So
did you deliver in a hospital or at home?
I did in a hospital in a very basic.
Yeah, sure.
Basic.
No anesthesia?
No, nothing modern. And it's just so funny now. I have friends here.
Was it painful? Delivery?
No, it's no. You become a mother. There is no such a pain. Oh, it's not a pain. I mean, I don't describe it as a pain. It's just something that needs to come out. That's a different. Yeah,
it definitely needs to come out.
It's a pain. No, it's not a pain. Just you have to. It's a very good feeling, though.
Right.
But everything is natural. And I'm not that old, but it's so funny when I talk to friends here in the United States and then they describe it that, how it's a big deal.
Oh, right. Right.
Well,
Americans are pussies. They can't handle this stuff.
No.
Give me all the painkillers you can give me. I can't handle it. Here I am. I'm such a man. I guess I'll edit that one out.
Oh, my goodness.
Albanians have a deep, passionate love for the United States of America, which is interesting because most Europeans are much more cynical about the United States, and sometimes they outright dislike the United States. There's very few countries that love the United States as much as Albanians. I imagine it's simply because the United States has consistently helped support the Albanian cause. Is that fair to say? Or is there some other reason why Albanians like the United States?
Yes, that's fair enough. Yes, and then that's so true. Yeah, that's so true. We just love America. And it's very interesting when people ask me about politics in here or which party. And I was like, how to better say it, like America for us is like Vatican, like Mecca, like whoever is the president, it doesn't matter. We still love United States of America.
Yeah,
we look up to it, like it's just very...
You said that great line about the Pope and the Vatican. Well, how did you say it?
Yeah, I said, like it's just like the Vatican, like whoever is the Pope, we will worship, or we will, like love, support. Yeah, it will be, yeah. So
nobody cares whether it's Republican or Democrat or whoever, it's the Pope.
Yeah. It's exactly that's how we see America. Mm. And then when I'm being asked, like, hey, what do you think about this political party? I was like, it's still America. We love it. So
right. Mm-hmm. And that love has not diminished at all.
No.
Now you went also...
It just goes even more and more. Imagine now in Kosovo, we celebrate 4th of July. This is how much we love the United States of America. We celebrate Halloween with it. We never even knew what Halloween is. And like we do Halloween, but 4th of July, we celebrate. We have concerts and it's support. So we just like, yeah.
That's amazing. Mm-hmm. And speaking about Independence Day, in 2008, Kosovo declared its independence from Serbia. Today, in 2021, about 51% of the United Nations recognize Kosovo's independence. Tell me about Kosovo and its hope to become more widely recognized as an independent country.
The president of Kosovo, now we have a lady that her name is Vjosa. The changes we hope that's going to start.
The United States prides itself in liberty, in equality, etc. And in some ways we've demonstrated it. I mean, we finally got a black president in Obama, but we've never had a female president. And yet at the same time, I always find it fascinating that Kosovo, which is by all
this
other
is the
measures...
second one, though. We had a prior.
Yeah, there you go. Look at that.
Second one,
so Kosovo, but you would agree with me that Kosovo is a pretty conservative place compared to the United States as far as women's liberation. A woman's role in Kosovo is often a more traditional. She stays at home, she has kids, that kind of stuff. You see that more often than you do in America, or you disagree?
It just depends.
I'm not suggesting you. I mean, I know you come from a professional family,
yes,
highly
but
educated,
also
blah, blah, blah. The average Kosovar,
yes.
She is much more traditional in her role than the average United States female. Or you don't think so?
No, I don't think so, because, like before it used to be like that, because nowadays, like
they're much more liberated.
Yes. And then, but again, even at the time when I was little, my mom was involved in politics as well. So we do have a
tradition.
Women, yes.
A tradition of it. Okay.
Yeah. So it's just like, again, when they come home as a woman, you still do what, like a housewife will do, but outside you still be equal or, with a man. So it's always been like that with us.
Good. I was thinking of another example of, let's say, Pakistan with Benazir Bhutto.
Yeah.
She was the prime minister. And this happened in like the 1980s or 90s. I can't remember what it was. And she eventually was assassinated. But I always use that as my favorite example because when it comes to women, you would think of no state is more conservative than Pakistan. I mean, there are a few more, obviously. But I mean, that they have their prime minister as a female. And yet here we are, United States of America, and we have yet to have a female leader, and Pakistan beat us to it. I'm like, come on. And Kosovo has 2 already, and they only started in 2008. It seems that the relations between Serbia and Kosovo are much better than they have been. Would you shake your head and say, no, not really? It's about the same?
No, it's the same.
It's nothing much has improved in the last 10 years?
No, because...
And by the way, for those who don't know, just listening in, you go there about once a year or two?
Kosovo? Yeah, I go every year.
Every year.
Yeah. We have Serbians that they live in Kosovo.
And by the way, you live in Dallas, by the way, in Texas.
Yes.
Yeah.
You have Serbians that always lived there in villages like around Brezovica. That's where they live, but also close to Pristina. They always lived there. They still live there.
Your parents raised you in a way that you were fairly strong-willed, independent.
Correct. Yes.
And kind of, build your brain up.
Yes. Always
don't just
survivor.
Be pretty. All right.
Yes. And then talking about that, that's why I always wanted to go to school to invest in myself, because that's something that has been taken. The right has been taken away from me during Milosovic time. And so that's why when everything was finished, the job in Iraq and everything, I wanted to come to the United States and get a degree. And so I did finish my college first, and then I seen that I said, okay, I'm good at this, so I can go further. And then I went to the University of Texas at Dallas, and I double majored in accounting and finance. And I have a concentration in risk management and insurance. So right now I work for the biggest global broker, and I execute bonds, construction and commercial bonds. And I'm a bond girl, and I have an accent.
You're a Bond girl.
I
James
am.
Bond. We'll get to wrapping up your impressions of the United States when you came here and what you think about it now after having lived here for about a decade. And we'll get back to that after this quick commercial break from our sponsor. Although I rarely say it explicitly, the frequent message of the WanderLearn podcast is to disrupt your life. Usually, I encourage you to shake it up with travel, especially to places outside your comfort zone. However, there's another way to give yourself a boost. Join the Restoration Depot. The RestorationDepot.com is a convenient and affordable online meeting place where you can rejuvenate your health and wellness online. Log in to your favorite classes like yoga, Tai Chi, essential oils, music, and many more. Check out all the options at therestorationdepot.com and try your first class for only $5 by selecting the first class special at checkout. Also, when you visit the Restoration Depot for the first time, take advantage of the pop-up where you can enter a drawing to win a wild orange essential oil. For week 1 of this May 2021 promotion, you're going to get 3 classes: dance fitness, intensati, and djembe drumming. Head to therestorationdepot.com. This episode is sponsored by Rerouted, which is creating a trusted online marketplace to revolutionize the used outdoor gear industry. This allows you to create your own adventure. You know, buying outdoor gear is super expensive, and Rerouted is allowing you to do it in a sustainable and inexpensive way. For those who are buying gears, it's great because you're doing something that is environmentally responsible. You're recycling, reusing material and gear. You're also able to get it at an affordable price. So that's the win for those who are buyers. What about for the sellers? Well, you can donate to charity, and you can have 50% of the sale price go to your favorite charity. And also, it's a great way just to get rid of stuff that's been accumulating in your closet and not put it into a landfill. It's a great alternative. So how do you get involved? Whether you're a buyer or a seller, you go to rerouted.co. Again, that's rerouted.co. Welcome back. So what I wanted to know is your first impressions of the United States when you got here and what shocked you, because you had watched the series, the television series called Dallas, with J.R. Ewing in the 1980s or 90s, and
Dynasty.
And Dynasty and all that stuff, right? And so you had this image of Texas, and here you were finding yourself in Dallas, Texas.
Yeah.
And it must have been like you felt like you were in Hollywood, like in a movie. So there's a lot of things that kind of like, okay, that's just like the movie. The skyline, the whatever, the people, how they look, their cowboy hats, whatever. But then suddenly there's probably a few things that surprised you, that like maybe the way people act.
Shocking was the public transportation, especially for Texas, in Dallas.
The lack of.
Yes. So it's just like, and then the funny thing it was that I learned, and when I asked, I said, how far is Walmart from the house? I was like, it's just 3 minutes. And then, even though they said 3 minutes by car, and I was like, okay, that's 3 minutes, so I can walk. And then it turned to be like 45 minutes walk.
Sure.
And then the heat And then it's just like, and then there is no sidewalks, like it's not so much respect for pedestrians, like you don't have those. It takes like 30 minutes just to go from one side to the other side and then they have the drivers, they have zero respect for pedestrians as well. They kind of, you're on my way. While in Europe,
in Kosovo, they were more respectful of pedestrians?
Yes, and then we have traffic lights, and then, but in here, they don't. Nowadays, they start building more. I see.
They have bike lanes now in Dallas.
Correct.
Which they probably didn't have before.
No, they did not. I mean, a biker is just like
something you can hit.
Something, yes,
for points.
Yes, like get out of my way.
Points.
Yeah.
How do you see the evolution of Kosovo? Where do you see it going in the 2020s and the 2030s? Have you seen a steady progression of it getting better and better, or do you feel like it's kind of hopeless? And finally, my favorite question, what about the greater Albania? The greater Albania. For those who don't know, there is a conspiracy theory that the Albanians have a dark, sinister plan to unite Kosovo and Albania and probably parts of North Macedonia, as well as parts of southern Montenegro, to create the greater Albania. So, just like there's the greater Germany or the greater whatever.
So the greatest thing is that we are one nation and we have two countries, and they're both independent. So I think we're right there, and we're in a good place.
Are you saying that Kosovo and Albania is like the United States and Canada? We're one nation with two countries. Because I swear, Canadians, I hope nobody's listening from Canada, but we're basically the same. Canadians and United States citizens, don't tell Canadians this, but for all have you ever been to Canada? No.
No.
Okay. Well, if you go there, you won't notice the difference except the fact that it's colder. You got to wear more clothes.
They speak French in some places.
Some parts, but we can let that. We won't unite with the French part. We'll let them go unite with France. The rest of Canada, that's not Quebec. We could just unite with them, just like Kosovo and Albania could unite.
So we feel we are the same. We have the same national flag, but we still have, even now we have a...
What do you mean you have the same national flag? Kosovo has its own flag.
But Albanians, we have one flag. We have the red with double-headed eagle. Right.
But they don't fly that flag in the capital of Pristina unless it's for fun. It's not like that's not the official flag of Kosovo.
Every nationality has their own flag.
Kosovo has like a blue and white flag, doesn't it?
Yes.
Okay,
correct.
so
as a country,
that's what I mean.
But I'm Albanian from Kosovo.
Right, you're ethnically Albanian.
Yes,
I understand.
I am Albanian
so you
from
got
Kosovo.
You got a small little red and black flag.
I do.
Okay. So anyway, but what you're suggesting is that, there's open to it. But at the same time, don't Albanians from Albania kind of look down as you guys as the dumb little brother? You guys are like the little Kosovo people. You're kind of villagers.
That was in the beginning, maybe.
Now,
after 1990s, because we never lived. We didn't have a chance to meet or to see each other or to live. There were generations that they never knew.
Right.
Because we have cousins, their families that were divided because that border was built, or they put the border just in the middle of the night. So then families were separated. So for all these years, so then it was a struggle until we got to know each other and to go to Albania. And
so when you go there, do you have like a thick accent that they can detect instantly that you're from Kosovo?
Yes. Okay. It's not that thick, but yes, we use different words for different,
right. Okay.
Yes.
So over the decades, you've formed slightly different accents and vocabulary here and there.
Correct.
But you obviously can understand each other just like we can understand Canadians.
Yes, right? Yes.
Okay, so...
Because it's still a standard Albanian.
Would you say it's like British English and American English? In other words,
correct.
We totally understand each other. But
yes, because it's just, because it's a standard.
Who sounds better? Like the British sound better than the United States citizens. But
there are two dialects, is Geg and Tosk. So which one you're speaking? And then,
Geg is in the north and Tosk is in the south.
Yes, see how you know that? And then they have a little bit, girls, especially, ladies, they have a little bit of a pitchy voice.
Like Americans.
And then,
like Americans.
Yes.
Okay.
And then,
I'm sorry.
Like while mine, like I had a coworker, and I was like, "Can you just please, slow down?" She was like,
"What are you talking about?"
She was like, "It's not my fault that you sound like a man, You have that
so
deep voice."
You, right.
She insulted me. I was like, "Oh my goodness, like you're such a pitchy voice," and she was like, she was like, "It's not my fault that you sound like a man. You have a deep voice." I was like, "No, I'm just from Kosovo. There's a difference,
Right.
But
so there's a little bit of rivalry, but overall, like when you go there, everybody's like welcoming and happy to see you.
Of course,
and
because we feel the same. We're Albanians, it's a brotherhood, sisterhood. It's the same family.
Okay.
And
it goes both ways. So when somebody from Tirana, which is the capital of Albania, goes over to Pristina, everybody's, "Hey, how's it going, brother?"
Yes, yes, because...
So it's actually better than Canada, because when us poor United States citizens go to Canada, they beat us in ice hockey every time. They should let us win every once in a while. Are you optimistic about the future for the 2020s and 2030s? Or do we see another war erupting because that's what you Balkanians like to do?
Oh, no. There's no more war.
No more war?
No. There's no war.
End with some excitement.
So history repeats itself every 100 years.
Okay. So I got to live another 100 years.
I have this story about... Because I had to travel to go to Iraq when... Kosovo was under United Nations. So I really had struggles because nobody knew where Kosovo was. There was this person that told me, he said, "I think that you're from Brigadoon." So the Brigadoon is the play that shows up in the surface once in 100 years and then disappears again. So, But this time we're back to stay. So we're not going anywhere.
Excellent. Well, Teouta, thank you so much for sharing a little bit of your life. I know your life is a lot more complicated. We just scratched the tiny surface of it. And you have a fascinating background. If they want to find you somewhere, are you sitting around on social media? Not really.
Not really. I keep it to myself.
Keep it yourself.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
So this is an exclusive interview. I paid you a lot of money for this interview. And so one day I know CNN is going to come knocking on my door for this tape. Thank you again, Teouta, and best of luck to you in Texas.
Thank you so much. And how do you say thank you in Albanian?
Faleminderit.
Faleminderit.
Faleminderit. And how do you say goodbye in Albanian?
Ditën e mirë.
Ditën e mirë. Ditën e mirë. And that concludes this episode of the WanderLearn podcast, where we explore travel, technology, and transformation. If you'd like to see the show notes with links to what we talked about, or if you'd like to comment on the show, or if you'd like to ask me a question, then go to WanderLearn.com and click on this episode. If you'd like to connect with me, just remember Tapon. That's my first initial and my last name. Tapon is the username I use on all social media. You can also get to my website by going to ftapon.com. And here's one last reason to remember Tapon. If you like what I do and would like to get rewarded for supporting my projects, then go to patreon.com/ftapon. That's where you can pick up some remarkable rewards for as little as $2 a month. And now for 5 quick favors. Number 1, subscribe to the WanderLearn podcast. 2, download it. 3, share it. 4, review it somewhere. And 5, sign up for my newsletter at WanderLearn.com. Our theme music was composed by Eric Stratman. This is Francis Tapon, encouraging you to wander and learn.